We're going to do some learning today. We're talking about investing your money. Unfortunately, I am not going to be teaching you how to invest money or smart investments. What I will be teaching you, though, is the math behind investing money. We're going to touch on a few things. I'm not really going to go on it. I'm just going to tell you to do this. Go back to the video before this. It's the simple and compound interest video. Go ahead and watch that so you're kind of caught up. One of the things that I know y'all know that I like to say is math is a lot of times it's foundational. So go back to the video before this. Watch that so you can get caught up. But let's go ahead and jump into this lesson here about investing your money. It's very, very simple. Very simple math behind it, actually. I need to stop saying things are simple, though. But can't help it. So, anyway, basically, the three things that you need to take in consideration that we already touched on is this letter, that letter, sorry it's taking time, this letter, and that letter. Those are the letters, and let me just go ahead and throw this last one in there just for fun. These are the letters that you need to be familiar with and know what they mean. This one right here, balance. You're going to have to understand when you're looking for balance and what the balance is and how to find your balance. Deposit. You need to be able to understand how to read a word problem and figure out what your deposit is. Rate is going to be a little bit tricky with this one because it's not just necessarily the rate, because our rate today in today's lesson goes also with this T, which is our time. Our rate goes hand in hand with our time today, and the reason for that is the units that it has. So skip the word unit, but just pay attention to what I'm saying, or go back to the last video and you'll see what I'm talking about. So we have our rate and our time. I'm just going to show you that in a second, and our, of course. And I'm going to add gained here. That's an N, that's an E, that's a D. Interest gained, right? So look, these are some of the things that you need to be able to identify and know what you're looking for when you read a word problem. So these are some of the words that you need to look for when you know what you're looking for. Yeah, that makes sense to me. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump into our first example because I don't want to waste too much of y'all's time. Let's go ahead and knock this out. So how do we know when we're investing and what we're investing and how much money we're going to have after a certain amount of time? And notice I said time. Okay, so I'm just going to do the first example that they gave us, which was you deposit $80 into a saving account at the start of each month. That is very key that you understand that it says at the start of each month. Each month, okay, that time each month, the account earns 3.6% annual interest compounded monthly. Notice that this is a compounding interest one, right? And it is at 3.6%. So we have our rate, we have our monthly. So that's what I'm telling you about. It's how these two are going to go together. And it wants to know the balance, the final balance after 4 months, 4 months time. Okay, so it's what I was trying to talk about earlier when I said units. I was talking about interest periods. That's what it is. So you can go back and you see what an interest period is. But we'll talk about our interest periods. They told us, but let's go ahead and figure out how much money we have after 4 months in this one. Okay, so let's identify some of the things that we have. It says that we're gonna deposit $80 every month, which is very important that you know. Every month we're going to deposit $80. Our balance, because we didn't have any money, we're going to start off with 0. And you're going to understand why I put that there in a second. Our interest rate is 3.6%, which actually turns into what? How do we know? How do we change this? Well, we have 3.6%, but remember, we can't deal with percentages. We have to change this into a decimal. Right? We have to change this to a decimal, but that is not the last part, because when I told you that an interest rate and our time goes together, this is what I meant. It said that it compounds monthly, so you can look at it from the sense of how many months are in a year. there are 12 months. Now, I do want you to understand that it said monthly, but it could have said annually. It could have said bi-monthly. It could have said quarterly. But in this case, it said monthly. So we're dealing with 12 months out of the year. When you do this math right here, that is what your answer is. I'm going to erase this. So now for our rate, I'm going to get this out of there. And I'm going to put our rate in. So what we have over here is our numbers that we're going to be working with. I'm going to get rid of this here. And then our time, it's at 4 months, which technically isn't going to be overly, let me put that there. It's not going to be overly important. It's only important for the process of this question. Now I'm going to do this here, and I'm going to break it up into 4 parts. Yep, and that's not enough room for me. All right, so now let's put our balance over here. And this is where our final answer is going to go. And you'll see what I'm doing. All right, so how do we figure out how much money we're going to have? Like, how do we solve these problems? This is what I'm about to show you. To solve this, you're going to take your deposit or your balance. Really, it's your balance here. And, well, let me do it this way, because I'm going to do it this way with the rest of them. You can take your balance plus your deposit times your interest rate times your, how many times your interest period. In this case, your interest period, we're only talking about 1 month. So we have it here, 1 month, right? This is only going to happen in this 1 month. And this answer that we're going to get right here is actually going to be our interest, okay? This is going to be the interest that we gain. Now, remember, you can do this on a regular phone calculator. So that's what I'm going to do. Grab my phone calculator, and I'm just going to put this number in. And actually, and the answer is 24 cents. Right? We gained 24 cents here. Okay? And that's it. That was all you had to do. How much interest was gained? 24 cents. But at the end, what would your balance be at the end of 1 month? It would be your original deposit, $80, plus your 24 cents. So now my balance is $84.20. Okay? Now remember, I said I put a 0 there for a reason. So let's go to, that's after 1 month. So let's go to our second month. Okay? Our balance no longer is 0. Our balance is $80. I didn't actually add it up already, but we know that it's $80.24. So we're going to take that $80 that we put every month, because it tells us that we put it in every month. We're going to put that $80 in there. This interest rate is not going to change. Neither is that 1 time a month going to change. So that, I'm going to show you this right here so you can see what that number is, but I'm also going to go ahead and erase it. I'm erasing from here. But no, I'm just adding that up together. It looks better to me when I have my numbers already done with addition and subtraction already done. So this is actually $160.24. 160.24. Right? Now we're going to go ahead and multiply these up. And when you do that, just go ahead and put this in. $0.48, right? So we take this 48 cents now, again, that we said earlier. We're going to take our 48 cents and now we add it to our original balance, okay? That's going to give us our new balance. Remember, we're trying to work. I wish I gave myself a little bit more space, but it's fine because my new balance is going to go right here. But when you add those together, you have a new balance. So it's $160.24 plus your 48 cents. That gives you $160.72, right? So now your balance is there. What do we do next? I'm going to give you a second and you can answer it out loud, or you can just think, oh, I know what to do. We're going to add it. We're going to add $80 to that, right? So now we have $240.72. $240.72. What are we going to do next? Pause it if you want to write it out and go ahead and try to beat me to it. but we're going to multiply it by, remember that number is going to stay the same, so is that. That number is going to stay the same, so is that number is going to stay the same. Please remember how we got that number, though. If you don't, go ahead and go back and see, oh, that's why he keeps using that number. So go ahead and multiply these numbers up. And, sorry, whistling. I know it can be loud on camera. 1003. And something I do want you to know, if you went ahead and did this before me, if you pause the video, which would help you so you can see if you're doing it correctly. If you pause the video and you got a number that was longer than this, so for example, when I did this right here, I didn't just get 0.72. What I actually got was 0.72216, right? But because we're dealing with money, we're going to always round to the nearest tenth. And that's where that 72 came from. Okay, so let's go ahead and erase that. And we're actually almost done. So I want you to, that was our third month, and we're gonna, because remember, fourth month is our last one, and we're looking for the balance, right? So we're almost already done. So if it told you to do 5 months, 6 months, you do the same thing. Set your numbers to the side if you need to. Put your time frame there so you know, okay, let's stop at 4. Get your interest rate done. Okay, we knew that it was 3.6 over 12. So let's get those things knocked out before you start jumping into all this math right here. So now, let's go ahead and add our 72 cents to our $240.72. So we got $242.72 plus 72 cents, which equals 240. And let me make sure it's 241, right? Now, what do we do with that 241? So we got 241 here. For those people who want to do it before me, go ahead and do it. But I want you to remember, is that the number that should be right here? No, it's not. Why not? Because we still depositing $80 at the beginning of every month. So let's go ahead and add our $81 or $80. And now our number is, now our account is at $300.21. $321.44. We're going to multiply that by our interest rate plus our 1 still. Let's go ahead and put that in. That gives us our 0.96 or 96 cents. And what do? We just add that 96 cents to that number right there, and that gives us our final answer. So we can put it in. Go ahead and do this before me. Go ahead and answer yours before. Pause the video and do it. I'm going to go ahead and knock it out. Maybe you want to type it at the same time I'm doing, and you didn't want to pause the video. But go ahead and do that. Plus our 96 cents. Your answer is $322.40. And that's it. That's how you solve that. So if you were ever trying to decide if I wanted to deposit so much money in an account this many times, I'm going to do it every month, I'm going to do it every 4 months, I'm going to do it every 3 months, I'm going to do it every 6 months. You could find out how much money you have after the end of whatever, how many ever months or how many ever years if you just set it up like this. Go ahead and add it. So you'll see, okay, well, maybe I should invest my money in this account with this interest rate or compounding like this. But yeah, that's that. That's how you do that. Do y'all need another example? I don't know.